What's up, guys? I'm DJ Swivel, and on this week's episode of Storytime, I'm going to be sharing with you the story of how I learned a little bit of Korean to sing some background vocals for our favorite band, BTS. But before we get started, make sure you like, subscribe, comment, hit the notification bell, do what you got to do, run the intro.
DJ Swivel, don't you tell a story, please. DJ Swivel, la la la, don't make it cheese.
What's up, guys? I'm DJ Swivel, and we're back for another episode of Storytime. And on this week's episode, we're going to talk about me recording background vocals in Korean for BTS. This was a really interesting ask, but before we get right to it, why don't I just set up how this whole thing came about? Sort of in between album, before Map of the Soul 7 came out, usually when I work with BTS, because I'm not in Korea, their label, Big Hit, will send me tracks. And sometimes I'll make my own and send them in. But in addition to that, they'll send tracks from their core team of producers, so P-Dog and Slow Rabbit, and they'll send those tracks over, tracks that they know that they like. They know that this is something we probably want to use for the record. And they'll send those tracks over, and then my job is to write melodies. And they don't even always have to have lyrics. Sometimes I'll write lyrics, but sometimes it's just melody. So me humming melodies. And then they'll get those references in, and then Big Hit and BTS will collectively pick their favorites, and then, you know, if they pick yours, then you made the album, kind of. So Moon was one of the tracks. I co-wrote 2 songs on Map of the Soul 7, Moon and We Are Bulletproof, The Eternal. And on We Are Bulletproof, they just use like our bridge section of melodies. And I actually sang some background vocals on that too, but that was just like the ooze at the end, right? The chant at the end. But on Moon, after I found out that they wanted to use some of our melodies, I got an interesting request. And I got an email from the A&R team at Big Hit asking if I would like to record some background vocals on Moon. Well, actually, at the time, they asked for Moon and We Are Bulletproof. And the We Are Bulletproof one was very straightforward. Again, just that chant at the end that ends the song. But then when we got to discussing Moon, they said, we'd like you to sing these background parts in Korean. And I was a little confused, to be honest. I was not sure why I was being asked, because Korean is not my native language and I don't speak it at all, really. And so I thought that would be a bit of a challenge. But I thought about it and I was like, you know, throughout my career, I've never turned down an opportunity. I've never turned down a challenge. And those are the things that kind of motivate me. So I sort of just said, all right, I'll do it, sure. And I didn't really think about, you know, how difficult it might be. But they sent files, and they were so nice. They sent Jin's vocal. This is my first time hearing Jin's vocal, but they sent it completely dry, with no reverb, no effects, so that I could really understand and hear his pronunciation of all the words. And then what they did is they sent the lyrics in Korean with underneath it the phonetic English way of like pronouncing it. So I was pronouncing it phonetically. And in order to get the song done, I basically had to go almost like line by line, like one phrase, another phrase. So I had to do it in these like very short sections because I couldn't memorize like the full pre-chorus, for example, in Korean. It was just too much, too difficult. And also there was a fairly quick turnaround on this. They were wrapping up the album and they wanted to include these layers. And so I said, okay, well, let me just try it. And I ended up staying up all night. I worked on it like, it probably took like 8 or 10 hours just to layer it, because it wasn't just one background stack. I ended up doing 4 background stacks of my voice. So I had to record it 4 separate times. And then in addition, we got a female layer with my often writing partner, Candace. She did the female layers and harmonies. And so I spent about like 8 to 10 hours going through just line by line, trying to phonetically pronounce it in the most accurate way as possible. Because at the end of the day, I don't want to do something that's not going to come off as authentic or not going to come off as great. And of course, BTS, the boys, they set the bar very high on the quality of their music and the quality of their vocals. And I mean, you could tell like they're leaving no stone unturned there. They're making sure that everything is absolutely perfect. And so I can't just do something like half-ass. I got to really take it all the way there. So I go through, I end up recording all of the parts, and not just recording them, editing them and making sure they line up perfectly to Jin's voice so that it would just blend with him. At the end of the day, I'm not meant to be heard. I'm meant to be felt underneath. This is Jin's song. So it's not about my voice. It's just about like beefing up some of those background stacks. And so I record the backgrounds, I edit them up, get them all together. Then I get Candace's vocals and edit hers and get them stacked and send them over. And then I think I get an email like a few days later saying, these were great, but could you just repronounce? There was like one line that I didn't really nail. I didn't get it perfect. I didn't pronounce it the perfect way. And so they recorded it again and helped me correct my pronunciation on it. And then recorded it, and it got used, which I thought was really cool and such a nice thing for them to do. I love that I get to tell this story, and certainly they didn't need it. I mean, clearly the guys can all sing really well and far better than I could ever sing. And so I'm not entirely sure why I was asked to do the background. I like to think that it was more about just like inclusiveness, like involving everybody in the process, and just like, there's something to say about the creative, the collaborative process, and being able to share, share that creative process and creative thinking with, another group. And so I thought it was very kind of them to ask me to do it. And it was a huge challenge, and I was terribly nervous, but it seemed to come together. It seemed to fit in. When I listen to Moon now, I don't hear myself in it. I mean, I can hear I can hear the harmonies, and I can hear the structure of it. But they mixed it in such a way where the listener is really hearing is Jin, because the lead vocal is sitting well above level wise to the backgrounds. But the backgrounds are in there low to like really just beef out the track and fill in the little sort of holes and pockets sonically when we listen to a song. Sometimes you just want to have that little foundational layer of backgrounds there to kind of lift the whole vocal. But they mixed it in a way where it was very subtle, and I thought it was like so tastefully done. And I guess the lesson, if we had to pull a lesson out of this, I always try to have a lesson with these, is take on those like challenges. If somebody asks you to do something and you're not quite sure that you can do it, sometimes just say yes and figure it out and go through the process and challenge yourself to like learn something new. And so, I had to learn, 10 lines of Korean, let's say, or 12 lines of Korean maybe. And I don't know if I'll ever be able to use that in life, maybe one day. But certainly now, if I was ever asked to cut any backgrounds in Korean, the next time it won't be as difficult and it won't be as much of a challenge. And so I love that. I try every day to learn something new. Every day I want to try to push myself to be just a little bit better version of myself. And these are those moments where you get to really kind of flex those muscles and really push yourself to to do something new and do something that's a challenge. And when you finish it, there's this amazing sense of satisfaction that you accomplish something, and that's what I felt doing that. So that was just a really fun thing for me to try, and I think I did a good job. I hope I did a good job. You guys can let me know in the comments. Yeah, and just super grateful to BTS and Big Hit for even asking me. You know, they definitely did not have to, and but to include, you know, the writer in that, I thought that was like very kind of them. So thank you, BTS. Thank you, Big Hit, for that. And thank you guys for listening to the song and supporting it. I mean, that's one of those songs that just did like really well and got so much love and yeah, I mean, you guys ask about it all the time. So yeah, so thank you guys for listening and making it what it is. But anyways, that is story time for the week. I'm DJ Swivel, and until next time, peace.